Hi, I'm Nicolene Peck, and I teach self-government parenting skills all over the world. And many parents ask me, why is my child so angry and defiant? Well, in this video, we're going to talk about just that. When I was a young mother and had two toddler children of my own, I actually started doing foster care, treatment care actually, for troubled teens. It was level 3 treatment care, which was really high level care. If they didn't succeed in my home, then they would have to be institutionalized. So the children that came into my home had things like ADHD, OCD, ODD, RAD, FAS, anger control issues, honesty issues, kleptomania, compulsive lying, sensory issues, all kinds of things that they dealt with. And I helped them learn to break free from some of these debilitating things that were taking control over their relationships, their happiness, and their life. And it was because of that that people found me and started saying, hey, will you come teach? Teach at our church or somewhere else? And then in 2009, the BBC made a documentary of our family. And since then, people have asked for books, and I've been doing trainings and stuff literally all over the world for heads of state, heads of different religious organizations, and so forth, just because of taking in angry and defiant teens. Look what you can learn in the process of parenting a child that some people may think is difficult. It is important, if you're going to help a person overcome some of that anger and defiance, to know why it is that they are behaving in that way. I took that time to try to understand each one of my own foster children, and there's a reason why. And that's because I was an angry and defiant child myself. I was very strong-willed. I argued with my parents. I was blatantly aggressive with them on multiple times, even to the point of hitting my own mother. I don't say that with any level of pride. That is probably one of the most disgraceful moments I can remember from my own life. But I remember why I did it. I remember what I thought in the moment when I reached out to hit her. And so I know why children choose to be angry and defiant. Why did I reach out to my mother and touch her in that way that I shouldn't have? Because I felt like she wasn't listening to me. I felt like she didn't understand me and that she didn't care about what I wanted. I felt that deeply, and I didn't know how to get that message through to her. I didn't know that I could just say very plainly, Mom, I don't feel like you're understanding me right now. I don't feel like you're listening to me right now. I didn't feel like that would go anywhere. And so my aggression and emotion boiled up, and I did something awful. The one good thing that came out of that situation was that I will never forget what it felt like to not be understood as a child. And that definitely helped me as a foster parent. We live in a time where some people might say that defiant children are kind of the norm. And that anger is kind of like just part of how life is for most people. But it doesn't have to be, and it hasn't always been that way. So why is it that we are struggling so much with defiance and anger in our children when in generations past they didn't as much? I want to give you some insight into that and what some of your children might be feeling. Now, please do not forget my story, that most times they just want to be understood. They just want to know that you get them. And one of the best things you can do for that is to slow down, to stop talking so much, and to try to listen and then talk in a way where they know that you are understanding where they're coming from. Now, this doesn't mean that we negotiate necessarily with our children, but I could say to my child, I've heard you tell me that you really want to go to this party, that you've made promises that you are going to be at this party, and that you even have responsibilities that you need to bring to this party, and that so there's people depending upon you. And that you're frustrated that I'm telling you that you can't go. But let me explain. Right? And then you're going to do the explanation, maybe even the correction that's needed for misbehavior at that point. And I'm not going to go into all the skills about how to do that because I have other videos that I can train you on how to do that. But here, I want us to get additional insight, some things I learned from my foster children, and now, after over 20 years of helping families teach their children self-government, I have learned a lot about why children do and think the way that they do. Let me explain some some reasons why children choose anger and defiance, besides the reasons I've already spoken of. Before I move on with the other reasons, be sure to subscribe so that you do get those other videos that you're looking for about how to handle this defiant behavior. So what are some other reasons why people are angry and defiant? Well, what about it works? Sometimes it works. Sometimes they get their way. Maybe it's not with you, maybe it's with friends or with teachers or with other authority figures or just people they want to get rid of. It works. People decide, I don't want to deal with that, and they leave them alone. But then they get their way, or they don't have to do what somebody wanted them to do. Maybe there's even been some days where you haven't had the energy to deal with it, and you just throw up your hands and say, whatever. Well, then it works. If it works sometimes, a smart and strong-willed child will keep trying it, and pushing and pushing and pushing until it works again. Another reason that anger and defiance is on the rise is because it's trendy. Did you know that many children feel like that they're weak now if they aren't angry and defiant? In fact, sometimes in the minute of anger and defiance, they are crying, they are worrying, they are fearful, but they're still doing it because they feel like that's what it means to be strong and powerful. They don't have security. And the trendy dialogue is saying, in order to be strong, in order to be confident, you have to be brash and angry and defiant. Another reason so many children show anger and defiance is because of anxiety. They actually do have a lot of fear inside. Fear of failure. Maybe you give them a chore to do, but they've never been trained on the chore before, or they don't remember, or they're a perfectionist and they are not sure if they're going to do it right. And so instead of explaining all of that, which they have a hard time describing even to themselves, they just get mad about it because of their frustration and their anxiety. Anxiety is a really big reason why people choose not to be calm. Another common reason is it's a habit. Once you start forming that pathway in your brain and you get the chemicals moving in a certain direction that leads to that emotional outburst, that's a memorable pathway that you're forming in your brain. So your brain will remember it because of the amount of chemical that was expended to make that connection between the emotion and that other part of the brain. So it could happen again and again and again and again. Sometimes a person is getting angry or saying something that's defiant, and the second they say it, they know that they're not doing their communication properly. They know they're being mean. They might even know they're lying or manipulating. They know it. Sometimes they even want to stop it, but they just can't because it's a habit. And I know because I was that child with that bad habit. Many children choose anger and defiance because they just want attention. They want someone to care. Sometimes they feel disregarded when things are going the right way and things are calm and good. Everyone does their own thing. They get on their own device, they do their business, and nobody talks to anybody. But when somebody has a problem, then everybody talks to them. Then the parents spend all the time that's necessary. So make sure that you give your children attention at the time when things are going well, and not just at the time when things are not going well. And that way, they'll try to seek positive attention instead of negative attention. This brings me to another reason why children choose anger and defiance, and that is that sometimes they're following their parents' example. As hard as that is to hear, sometimes parents are expecting their children not to do the very same behaviors that they're doing themselves. So if you have anger and defiance of your own, be sure to get the help that you need. In fact, in the description of this video, there is a link to a Calm Parenting Toolkit that is totally free. If you click on that, it should help you hopefully get in touch with some of your own calmness and to get the tools you need to stay calm in the minute so that you can set a good example. Some children choose anger because it feels powerful, but it's actually false power. It's a total fake, it's a phony, and everybody watching it knows it. But the person who's doing it doesn't know it, at least right then, because they're giving in. So you have to explain what real power is and what it's not. And real power is calmness and it's planned action. The person who is planned and takes action upon their plan are the ones who always maintain control of themselves and have a better opportunity to influence their surroundings as well. So this leads me to another reason that people choose to be angry or defiant, and that is they simply lack the skills to do anything else. How do you get your point across if you don't have the skills? Well, it's really hard to make that up. It takes a lot of creativity in a moment where your emotions are running really high. So what happens is you usually take your creativity and your emotions, and what comes out is emotional manipulation. So what skills could a person use to conquer their anger and defiance then? I would like to share those with you. So in my next video called How to Get a Defiant Child to Obey, I am going to explain the process for how to stop this defiance and anger for good. Join me there. Click on the link now.